The phone buzzed, a seemingly innocent notification. It was a sound I had heard countless times before, a sound that usually meant nothing more than a message from a friend or a reminder for an appointment. But this time it felt different. This time, it felt like a harbinger of something much darker. It was her phone, face down on the counter. The screen was hidden, but the persistent buzzing was impossible to ignore. It was as if the phone itself was trying to tell me something, trying to reveal a secret that had been kept in the dark for too long. An itch, a whisper in the back of my mind, urged me to look. I hesitated, knowing that once I crossed that line, there would be no turning back. But the curiosity, the need to know, was too strong to resist. My hand moved almost on its own, reaching for phone. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest. Each thump a metronome, counting down to the explosion. I could feel the blood rushing in my ears, the adrenaline coursing through my veins. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated fear, the kind that makes you question everything you thought you knew. Her password was no secret, our anniversary. A cruel irony now. I entered it with trembling fingers, each number a painful reminder of the love we once shared. The screen unlocked, revealing a world I was not prepared to see. I can't wait to see you again. You drive me wild. The words stared back at me, mocking me, taunting me. They were a dagger to my heart, each letter a twist of the blade. I read them over and over, hoping they would change, hoping they would somehow make sense. But they didn't. They seared themselves into my brain. I couldn't escape them. I couldn't unsee them. They were burned into my memory, a permanent scar that would never heal. My mind raced, trying to piece together the fragments of my shattered reality. A name I didn't recognize. A name that meant nothing to me, but everything to her. Who was this person? What did they have that I didn't? The questions swirled in my mind, each one more painful than the last. My world, our world, crumbled. The foundation of trust we had built our relationship on was gone, replaced by a chasm of betrayal and deceit. I felt like I was falling, spiraling into an abyss with no end in sight. The life we built, the promises whispered, all of it turned to ash in my mouth. The memories of our time together, once so sweet, now tasted bitter. The future we had planned, the dreams we had shared, gone, reduced to nothing more than a painful reminder of what could have been. Betrayal cut deep, a jagged wound in my soul. It was a pain unlike any other, a pain that would take a lifetime to heal. But in that moment, all I could do was stare at the phone, the words still burning in my mind, and wonder how it had all gone so wrong. He was cocky, arrogant, the kind of arrogance that seeps into every gesture, every word. It was as if he believed the world revolved around him, and everyone else was just a minor character in his grand story. He knew. Of course he knew. He always knew. It was his superpower, his ability to read people, to see through their facades and expose their vulnerabilities. And he relished it. He practically strutted into the coffee shop, a smirk plastered across his face as he saw the devastation etched on mine. It was a performance, a carefully choreographed entrance designed to maximize his impact. "She told me you wouldn't put up a fight," he sneered, taking a sip of his drink as if he were savoring a fine wine. His words dripped with condescension, each syllable a dagger aimed at my heart. "Said you were weak, predictable." His voice was a low, mocking whisper designed to cut deep and leave lasting scars. He enjoyed this, the power he held over me in that moment. Each word was a punch to the gut, a confirmation of my worst fears. It was as if he had reached into my soul and pulled out my deepest insecurities, laying them bare for all to see. I wanted to lash out, to scream, to inflict pain in return. The rage bubbled up inside me, a volcanic force threatening to erupt. But I knew that was exactly what he wanted, and I refused to give him the satisfaction. All I could do was sit there, paralyzed by the sheer audacity of it all. My mind raced, trying to process the situation, to find a way to regain control. But the more I thought, the more trapped I felt. He left then, throwing a dismissive glance back at me, his laughter echoing in the now silent coffee shop. It was a sound that would haunt me, a reminder of my failure and his triumph. But in that moment, a fire ignited within me, a determination to rise above and prove him wrong. Days bled into weeks, each one a struggle to breathe, to function. The betrayal was a constant companion, a shadow that followed me everywhere. Anger wed with sadness, a toxic cocktail that left me drained and empty. Friends offered platitudes, empty words that did nothing to soothe the ache in my heart. But amidst the wreckage, a flicker of resolve began to burn. I wouldn't let him win. I wouldn't let them win. This wasn't the end of my story. I would rise from the ashes, stronger and more determined than ever before. His arrogance was his weakness, a glaring flaw he never seemed to notice. He walked through life with an air of invincibility, believing that his charm and wit could get him out of any situation. His need for validation was a gaping hole in his armor. He thrived on attention, basking in the glow of admiration from those around him. Every compliment, every nod of approval was like fuel to his ego. He lived for the applause, the adoration of the crowd. It was his lifeblood, the very thing that kept him going. But in that need, I saw an opportunity. That's where I would strike. I started subtly, planting seeds of doubt in the minds of those around him. A whisper here, a suggestion there, all designed to make them question his authenticity. Whispers of inconsistency in his carefully crafted persona began to spread. His work, his relationships, his entire life started to show cracks. The stress was palpable, and it was only the beginning. His carefully curated online life, once a fortress of his image, became my weapon. I used it to highlight every flaw, every misstep, turning his own creation against him. It was a slow, methodical process, like watching sand fall through an hourglass. Each grain represented a small victory, a step closer to my goal. Like a spider weaving its web, I was patient. Each thread, seemingly insignificant on its own, was part of a larger design, a design he wouldn't see until it was too late. The trap was set, and he was walking right into it. And as his world began to unravel, the confusion and distress were evident. He couldn't understand how everything was falling apart, how his once perfect life was crumbling. A sense of cold satisfaction settled over me. This wasn't about revenge. Not really. It was about justice, about reclaiming my power. In the end, it was about showing him and everyone else that arrogance and deceit have consequences.